Hello. Just getting you up on the phone so I can see who's joining me, and I should be able to read the comments and come back to you at the end if I've missed any of them and answer them for you. Please say hi and let me know that you're here. That would be cool. Welcome to my creative room. This is where all the arty magic happens for me. This is my happy place, and yeah, it's filled with a lot of stuff. I want to say a huge thank you to Emma from Rustic Chic for inviting me to be part of this fab group. I've always enjoyed this group. And it's one of the few furniture painting groups that I'm still in, so I'm being honoured to be asked to be a small part of it and do some lives for you from time to time. Those of you that know me of old will know that I haven't done many furniture painting lives for a long time. I don't know why, really. Lost my mojo on it, I guess, and I moved over to art, which was always my home girl. But I've really enjoyed doing this, so maybe it's a small comeback. It's just variety is the spice of life, I guess. So thank you. Yeah, my hair's, I've had a fringe cut. It's a bit short, isn't it? Hi, Louise. So I want to show you what I've been up to so far. With all that in mind, I shall keep checking my phone and making sure that I try to get to most of your questions, but if I miss any, I will come back afterwards. So I've been working on, I'm going to turn the camera around now just so as you can see, this beautiful M1. I'm just showing you the top so that you can get it in closer. I haven't done all of the bottom yet at all. We're going to work on some of that today, but I wanted to show you what we are working on today. I'm going to show, I've got so far with a stage so that I can show you the look that I'm looking for, and then I'll go down to the bottom and show you how I've created that. Okay, so I'm going to pop the phone on the top. I'll look at it every now and again for messages and comments and so on. So as you can see, I have decoupaged this here. If you want to learn how to make your own decoupage, and I use this printing it off on my inkjet printer, you need to watch part 1 because I go into quite good detail of how to do that. And that's available on YouTube, and it's also available, I think, in the last post that I made. But this is literally a picture that I've blown up and printed off and then pieced together. It's quite hard to see the lines because it really does join up that well. And then I have gone on to create a whole ton of moulding using just one mould so far, and it's the Heirloom Roses IOD mould. You can see kind of what's left of it, and I've built it up and sort of tried to tie it in with the patterns that are sort of forming in the background. This is actually a statue, so I wanted to make it sort of look like the background was all an extension of the picture that I've printed off. So I've gone in very roughly with one layer of chalk paint, sort of matching it up and making these roses. They're not as they're going to be finished, but I've gone in with 3 colours. So I've gone in with a colour that it's a very chic product. It's called Dima. It's a lovely kind of smoky blue, which was perfect for this. And then I've gone in with hang on, a colour called Parissa, which is quite a rich pink, and lastly a colour called Navy, which is like an off-white, slightly grey, and I've added it in there. And I've literally sort of smudged it on really, and sometimes I've used my fingers, and I've added sort of bits into the background as well to get this sort of similar effect. Then when that was all dry, and I've obviously used the black over this side, when that's all dry, I have gone in with, and this is what I wanted to show you today. This is Crackle Glaze, one of my products, and it is great for just normal crackle as you would expect, but what I found when I was experimenting was this really happy accident that if you put the same colour over the top of the crackle, it creates a kind of stone effect, which is really cool. So what I've done is I've painted it all, as you can see, and then I've put a really generous coat of the crackle on. I don't know if you can see there's a slight shine on here, but there is, and that's the crackle. And I had to dry it off thoroughly. You have to dry crackle off thoroughly before you want to then activate it. Now, I could just leave it at this point overnight for 3 or 4 days. The crackle will sit there quite happy and will still be activated whenever I want to do it. But I've obviously gone through that process today because it took quite a lot of drying. I didn't want you just sitting here listening to hair dryers. But I want to show you what happens when I go back in with the same sort of colours on top. So I'm going to use a sponge, and I'm going to dip it into my Dima, this lovely blue, and I've put it on quite thick. This is the trick with crackle, is, and then not to keep going over it. I find using a sponge better than using a brush, because with a brush you're tempted just by nature to go back and forth, and if you keep going back and forth over crackle, you just lift it up and it kind of ruins it. So using a sponge sort of encourages you to dab it rather than brush it back and forth. So I'm going in quite generously, and I want the texture, so I'm not worried about sort of brushing it all out. When you want crackle, you want texture. So I'm kind of going over all the places where there was blue before. Okay. And you can work quite quickly, because, you know, crackle is not an exact, it is a texture. You were looking for a texture, not for a perfect. And I wanted to create this kind of stone effect because this beautiful picture that I've used is actually a stone carving, and it's called Sleeping Beauty. And I thought, how perfect for an armoire, child's bedroom wardrobe. So I'm just really working quite quickly, dabbing it everywhere. As soon as I've got off this at this stage, I'll have a look at my comments. Okay. So there's most of my blue. Yeah. Now you have to take my word for it that it had a very liberal layer of crackle on, but I will show you how liberal when we go down to the bottom. So that's the first bit with the blue, and I'm going to use exactly the same sponge. Total contamination going on, just to freshen up, go over the top of the crackle that's on the leaves and moulds, with tiny bits in the background. Now these sponges, they're brilliant, and they're from, I use them on my painting, my artwork paintings as well, a lot, and they're just from Primark. They're makeup sponges, cheap as chips. But because they're cheap, you can just use them and throw them. So can you see I'm just blotching in little areas. I don't want to sort of make square marks. I'm just trying to sort of remove that a little bit. Okay. Okay, and then lastly a little bit of my navy. Again, total contamination. Those that know me will know this is my thing. And I'm not being artistic as such about this, I'm just adding little bits of the three colours, starting with the main colour, which is the blue, then the pink, and then little highlights with the navy. And I will be doing a third live when this is all dried, showing you how to do glazing, because it needs some black glazing details in it as well, but that will be the last stage. So this isn't the finished look by all means, but it's progress. Okay, now if you don't like an area, break it up with your finger, get your fingers in there. Okay, now one of the things that you can do with crackle is use a tissue. Let's just have a look. Hi Denise, hi Anna, thanks for joining. One of the things you can do with crackle is use a tissue while it's still wet to kind of twist it off in areas like so, and it creates that extra texture that you might be looking for, well I'm looking for. There we are. Now I'm going to give it a very quick blast with a hairdryer, and then I'll bring the camera in close so that you can see what I've achieved. That was it. Now let's just move you in super close. I've got cameras and wires and so on, but let's see what you can see. There's some really nice texture going on there, quite stony, and that only happens when you put the same colour on top of the colour that you've got underneath. So let's move the camera back so you can see it more from a distance. Let's have a look. Try and get the camera right. There we are. So it's starting to work. I haven't done this side yet, so I'm going to do a little bit on that side as well. I'll use a different sponge for the black. And I'm literally just going to use the sponge to and then when I've done this, we'll move down and I'll show you the raw moulds and how I've painted those in from scratch. If you've put crackle down, you have to paint over it because otherwise you'll be left with a shine. Okay. And I just want to clean up a little bit there. That doesn't matter because I can paint it back in, but that's fine. I'm going to use the tissue again just to blot and twist at the same time, because I just, even though this bit is shadow, really, it's not so much the stone, I still want the textured kind of look. Okay, I might need to do a bit more over the flowers, but I'll do that later. Okay, so don't need to dry that amount, let that dry, and we'll go down. I'm going to move the camera down, sit on the floor, and then you can see me working. It's looking quite good now. Hang on, let's just get these into, there's not enough room in this room. So, can you see it's looking, even though the picture is actually only here, and it's now extended out. So I'm now going to work on that bit, and we'll do that bit together. Okay, so I've just got to move my paints down. Okay, and I did a brush somewhere. Brush just vanished. Oh, here it is. There we go. Okay, I think that's all I need for now. On my phone. Okay, so the first thing I did was use the blue. Even though this is in the dark, this area, I'll start it with the blue and we can add black after. And if it goes over the edge, which it absolutely is, I just use my finger, smudge it in. Okay, so I'm just using a paintbrush, not like an artist brush really, just to try and dig into some of the grooves. And I'm not going to completely cover them because I'm going to be adding pink and the navy as well. If you are interested in any of these paint colours and products, there is a link in the top of the feed. You can visit my website, Very Chic Emporium. And I've also put a link to where I got the IOD mould. That's a fat mould. Okay, I've got some black to put in around there. So you can see I'm really not working very carefully. But it already kind of looks, it fills in. I hope the lighting's not too bad. so that you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put a bit on this side as well. Here we go. So as you can see, I was very lucky that the Dima was almost the perfect match for the blue that's in the original picture. That made me happy. A little bit of that. I'm going to do a little bit at the bottom as well. I don't know if you can see the bottom. Yeah, just about. You're right, the blue is perfect, Louise. It is one of my favourite colours. So a little bit of blue, and then wipe off the excess. Which is pull off, wash your brush thoroughly, really cleanly, so as not to contaminate the next pot. And start sticking some pink on. Again, though it's just gone over the edges, I'm just filling it in like that. Glaze is going to work really well over the top because it will go in all the nooks and crannies of the moulds and really pop them out. Okay. It's pretty good coverage. Now to go in with the black. Just going to go around here. And I will add some colour into the black as well. I don't want it just to be plain black. If you haven't come across Fairy Chic Melody black, you don't know what you're missing. It's the blackest black. It's actually a really glorious black. Now, where I'm catching it, I'm just going to use my finger because we know we want some black shading in it anyway. So today I'm only going to do this section, and I'm going to do something different on the drawer. I think I'm going to write the words Sleeping Beauty, stamp them. Which seems fitting. I don't mind that I've got quite a bit of black going on in here because this is the dark corner. And I could do black wax as well, might look just as good. We'll have to see. So just using little dabs of black and my fingers to spread it around. I think works quite well. Blends quite well to the dark side. None of this side has been crackled yet, so okay. Sort of moving back into the blue over there. So let's just finish up that bit of black over here. And then I'll go back in with the blue. just making sure you get into all the bits, all the areas. We're nearly done. Might need a bit of black on here later, but not as much as the other side. And as before, let's just, you see, just tiny bits spread like this, just copy this kind of area here. If you haven't got an exact match of colour, if you just add a bit of what you've got into the main picture, it will help blend it in a bit. I'm just using my finger, a very dirty finger at this point, but it's helped blend it quite well. And so need a tiny bits of black in here as well. There. Right, so I'm just going to quickly blast that with a hairdryer. So I just wanted to show you putting the crackle on, really, so you're in no doubt whatsoever as to sort of liberal. That is the trick. Don't be stingy with crackle. So I'm using a big brush, and I'm really generously applying it. All over the areas I've just painted, and some of it might be a little bit damp, although it seems to be pretty good, but if it smudges a bit, it doesn't matter. Because don't forget, this is the coat underneath, not the top layer. So we've got time to perfect it. See how much I am slapping on here, and the only thing is that you have to keep an eye on it because it drips, and you don't really want a big gooey, dried hard lump. So I tend to go at it straight away with a hairdryer if it's upright like this. If it's lying flat, doesn't matter. But you can always sand the drips off. It's not the end of the world. Everything's fixable. There, so that is that. Hi Zoe, I am just about at the end of my live. I'm not quite sure if it's frozen or not because I can see on my laptop screen it seems to have paused, but I'm going to bring this live to an end at this stage. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to be back very soon doing the next stage and showing you how I finish this off. So thank you for watching.